The New York Liberty tip off their quest to be crowned WNBA champs. The Washington Mystics head to New York City to try and play spoiler to the championship story being wrote in Brooklyn. So let's talk about this first round playoffs matchup with Owen Pence, who's a senior writer at WNBA. Owen, thanks for joining us, man. Long time no see. Thanks for coming back. Let's get straight into this because I got to get your thoughts on this. A lot of people are kind of hyping up this first round matchup. I think it's because in the final game of the regular season, the Mystics beat the Liberty in Brooklyn. So do you think that win kind of gave Washington some juice and some momentum heading into this series? And do you smell first round upset?
I do think it gave them a little juice heading into this series.
Oh, okay.
Look, Washington is a team that really feeds off energy. You got players like Brittany Sykes, Natasha Cloud, who really love to hype up their teammates, etc. So you give them a win, you give them confidence entering this series. And I think they can run with it. You know, I hate to do cross-sport comparisons when it comes to the WNBA, but this reminded me a little bit of the 2007 New York Giants playing all their starters in a meaningless Week 17 matchup against the undefeated Patriots. And they lose that game by 3 points, but we all remember what happens deeper into the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. That said, I do not smell an upset here. I think a lot of people, you know, are saying, oh, maybe the Mystics could upset the Liberty. That's the round one matchup where we could see something really surprising. Ultimately, I don't see it. New York is too talented, and I think the thing it comes down to for me, Washington is missing their center, Shakira Austin, a really good defender, also a very talented offensive player. They need to be fully healthy and fully clicking if they're going to do something miraculous, like knocking off this loaded New York Liberty team. And the fact that they're missing one of their key starters, I don't see an upset in the works here.
Owen, I thought everything you said was great, but the 2007 Giants reference was just money. You know, especially a guy who was won a Super Bowl ring from that 2007 Giants squad. Hey, if the Liberty play like that, then wow. Wow, absolutely wow. Yeah, they're definitely going to be WNBA Finals champions. You talked about some of the talent that the Mystic has on their roster. The Liberty have far superior talent than a lot of the teams that are going to be in their path to the finals to cruise through the playoffs. So does this team have the talent to just go through the playoffs and get straight to the finals?
They definitely have the talent to make this run. I do think that the Connecticut Sun should not be overlooked. So this first round matchup is going to be really tough against Washington. Ultimately, I see a 2-0 sweep. Round two, though they do have more talent than Connecticut, Connecticut is a team with Alyssa Thomas, who is one of the top 3 MVP candidates. They have DeWanna Bonner, a future Hall of Famer, who had a down year last year, and they made the finals last year, even with DeWanna Bonner struggling. She's been back this year with a vengeance, playing really well, just scoring from all levels of the court, playing really solid defense. This team, the Connecticut Sun, is really vigorous defensively. I mean, they just fly around, rotate, force turnovers. They also have some really good role players. Dejanay Carrington is a candidate for 6th Player of the Year. Ty Harris, their backup point guard, shot over 46% from 3 this year. So they have the pieces to make that a really competitive series. I don't see a huge talent gap when it comes to New York and Connecticut. That said, New York has more talent. They are simply stacked. And I really don't see Connecticut pulling off an upset there. I think it's going to be maybe a little bit closer than people anticipate, given that the Liberty won all 4 of their regular season head-to-head matchups. But ultimately, I mean, come on. It's Breanna Stewart. It's Sabrina Ionescu. It's Benijah Laney. It's Jonquel Jones. It's Courtney Vandersloot. And that's just the starting lineup. They're also loaded on the bench. No one's knocking off this Liberty team before the finals.
Yeah, you gave us a great second round preview, but the Mystics could be listening to this and be like, they're disrespecting us. They have to play us tonight. They have to win this series. So let's talk about tonight. We'll bring it back in. What are the keys to a Liberty win tonight?
Look, I'm giving the Mystics bulletin board material right now.
Yeah, you are.
Talking about the second round. I mean, if they're watching, the Liberty better watch out tonight. I think there's 2 keys for New York tonight. I've got some stats for you about rebounding. So I think rebounding is the major key in this series. And without Shakira Austin, as I mentioned earlier, the Mystics are going to be at a disadvantage on the glass. Now, people love to talk about rebounding in kind of a cliche sort of manner when it comes to playoff basketball. It's very easy to say, oh, rebounding is going to be the key. But rebounding has been the key for the New York Liberty. When Jonquel Jones grabs 10 or more rebounds, the Liberty are 13-1 this season. And when Jonquel Jones posts a double-double, they are undefeated 11-0. And this has been borne out when the two teams have played this season. They split the regular season head-to-head 2-2. In the 2 games that New York won, they grabbed over 46 rebounds. Jonquel averaged 10.5. In the 2 losses, they only had 38 rebounds, and Jonquel with 7 per game in those 2. So the key is rebounding. I think the other element that's going to come into play here is turnovers. New York must limit its turnovers. Washington is a really strong defensive team. Like I said, they love to fly around. They're very aggressive schematically. And New York is going to have to limit turnovers, because if they allow Washington to get out into transition, that is where the Mystics are most lethal. You got Brittany Sykes. You got Elena Deladon, one of the greatest shooters in league history. Ariel Atkins can fill it up as well. This team can be very potent when they get out in transition and are able to run. But if New York can limit those opportunities and protect the basketball, which they've been very good at the second half of the season with Courtney Vandersloot, one of the greatest point guards in league history, I think they'll have a really good shot tonight.
Well, the Mystics match up pretty well with the Liberty and with the bulletin board material you just gave them earlier. Looks like it's going to be a great one tonight. Owen, great as always having you on, man.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it as always.